He said that Jesus Christ has risen, and he is the open door.
How you doing, everyone? Welcome to this episode of the Cajun Conservative Show, where we talk about life, we talk about liberty, and we talk about the pursuit of happiness, and we show the world that us Cajuns do have intelligence. Hope you're having a good day, good week, wherever you are listening to this episode. Just remember, as you listen to this episode, that this is the day that the Lord has made, and we should rejoice and be glad in it, no matter what we're going through, whatever trial, tribulation we are facing. Remember, Jesus got it in control, ladies and gentlemen. If you put your faith and trust in Jesus, I say this all the time. I don't put my faith in a politician. I don't put my faith in the government. I put my faith in Christ and in Christ alone. And look, even with everything going on in the world, with things happening, and we have problems in this world, we could always go back to saying Jesus is king, and he's coming back, and he's coming back soon. Yeah, it might get bad in the world sense, but guess what? We have Jesus to look forward to, and I am excited that we have that, ladies and gentlemen. This world is not my home. I can't say that enough. This world is not my home, and thank goodness. You know, there is some people out here, you know, and look, this happened in the Bible days with Timothy and all this, but there's some people out here that says, you know, there is no heaven and ain't no hell. This is where we gonna stay for all eternity. And I'm like, oh, please no, please no. Oh no, if this is heaven, I hate to see hell. Oh man, I hate to see, man, it's bad. This isn't heaven, ladies and gentlemen. Heaven is coming, and it's coming soon, and I'm excited for that. With that being said, we have a guest today. We're going to be having Brandon Trosclair. He's running for Louisiana Secretary of State. He's going to be joining us over the phone today. Can't wait to visit with his brother. Met him at Family Worship Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was introduced to him by Josh Rosenstern. He has run for office before with state rep, and we're gonna visit with him. We're gonna talk about his vision for the Secretary of State's office, which Louisiana does have a good. Kyle Ardoin has done a good job, but Brian believes we can go ahead and expand it. So we're gonna get with him. We're gonna get his vision and talk to him a little bit about what he plans for Louisiana. And we have other candidates lining up. We're going to have a good time in talks with a few legislators that are in office, that are running for office again, and passing some good legislation here in Louisiana. I'm going to save a lot of my state talk. I'm going to talk about some state stuff in the second segment. I know I have a lot of listeners from Louisiana, and I'm going to put my 2 cents in a few things. My co-host, Barry Martin, came and talked about the Louisiana governor's race the other day and did a fantastic job. You should go check that out. And I got my opinion on something that I want to get off my chest. That's going to be for the second segment, and we're going to go ahead and talk about that. But first off, I want to talk about the footage that was released by Tucker Carlson. And look, I listened back to the episode. I've got tons of feedback on TikTok, good and bad. Because I put out a video and I titled it, Tucker Exposes the Left. And ladies and gentlemen, Tucker, I think he did a good job. He showed some unseen footage. He went ahead and he took this footage and he showed the world that the American people was deceived in some areas of January 6th. I'm not going to stand behind his microphone because I've been accused of that on TikTok. And look, for everyone that comes from TikTok and listens to this podcast, please remember something. I do an hour show. It's hard to put everything I say in an hour, or at least even that, because a 15-minute segment. It's hard to go ahead and compact something in 15 minutes into a minute. And TikTok gives us 10 minutes to put videos up. I feel that's too long for TikTok. Now, as for YouTube and Rumble, Spotify, Apple, all the other platforms that we are on. That fits this format. This our format that we do, that fits YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple, all the platforms. But it's hard to go ahead and put 15 minutes into a minute video. I like to keep in mind at least a minute. But I got feedback because I put out a video where I defended Tucker Carlson. And ladies and gentlemen, what Tucker Carlson's feeling on a main scale, I'm feeling somewhat on a downward scale. Because I have been called liar. I have been called a Trump supporter. I have been called a Trump radical, a Trump zombie. I've been called MFer. I have been called, everything under the sun. Now, people might ask, why do you put that abuse on you? Well, I don't reply back majority of the time because I'm not gonna go ahead and do that unless it's something I really think or I feel, hey, I need to address this. But why am I bringing this up again? Because Tucker went ahead and went against the left hard with this unseen footage. What Tucker really did was, and I understand Tucker probably edited and did whatever he did, but Tucker went ahead and showed the world through Fox News that the left and some on the right are deceitful. Like I said, I'm not going to go ahead and take away from the footage that the January 6th committee brought out. It was a coup. It was a sham. I agree with that. But there is footage of protesters on January 6th pushing cops against the wall and pushing back against the police officers. I understand that footage exists. I'm not blind to that either. I believe that the things that led up to January 6th impacted that day. And what some antagonizers did that day and some protesters and some rioters did that day hurt the process to look at the 2020 election and to certify the 2020 election. I'm not denying that. I never denied that. Now, what Tucker did with this footage showed that the left lied. They lied and they covered up to try to push their narrative and saying, look, that footage goes against our narratives, so we're not going to go ahead and show that. And they did not give Trump, they did not give the Republicans, they did not give any conservatives any leeway to go ahead. Look, the QAnon shaman is sitting in jail today. If that footage would have been given to his lawyer, they would have went ahead, and there's people, their lawyer had that footage. The lawyer went on Fox News and talked to Tucker Carlson and said, no, we could not get that footage. That man probably wouldn't have been in jail today, or he would have got a lighter sentence if that video would have been provided to them. But the left went ahead and did this. Now, this is where I'm coming to the point after this. Tucker Carlson is getting attacked left and right from Chuck Schumer, from Mitch McConnell, from The View, and from liberal news sources because they feel that Tucker shouldn't have done this. And now they're calling for Tucker to be censored by Fox News and to be pulled off the air. And ladies and gentlemen, look, Chuck Schumer went on the Senate floor and asked Randolph Murdoch, the owner and the person that runs Fox News, to tell Tucker Carlson not to run no more footage and to go ahead and tell him to apologize for certain things. Tucker Carlson has invited Chuck Schumer to come on because he said, look, if I'm lying, go ahead and come talk to me. Schumer said, well, I'm not going to go in there unless you apologize for the false narratives of 2020 and the election. And of course, Tucker ain't going to do that because Tucker has strong feelings about the 2020 election. But ladies and gentlemen, for a senator, and I briefly touched on this last episode, and look, I'm sorry if I'm repeating, but I feel this is an issue that we need to talk about because the left is attacking the First Amendment rights. Not just the individual First Amendment rights of free speech, but the press's free right, the free speech rights. Tucker Carlson went on the Senate floor and called, Chuck Schumer went on the Senate floor and called out, Chuck Schumer called out Tucker Carlson on the Senate floor, then went behind the mics and said the same thing. Look, we don't think Tucker should have did this. Tucker should be censored. Tucker should be that. And then you have The View. Whoopi Goldberg seems to suggest that the DOJ take action against Fox News. This is coming from a website, IJR, where Whoopi went ahead, Whoopi told the DOJ basically to go find something against Tucker Carlson. Why? Because they did not like what he said. You have news organizations, Anderson Cooper, that came against Tucker Carlson. You have all these people, Don Lemon from CNN, all these people come against Tucker Carlson because he ran a piece. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why I'm upset about all this. These calls for censorship from government, these calls, and look, this is not from the left, the right as well. Some rhinos, Mitch McConnell. Look, I didn't hear his statement, but I saw on Tucker Carlson that John Kennedy said something about this. Like I said, I'm not going to quote my senator because I don't have a quote and I don't have nothing to really say. I didn't hear his quote, so I'd have to go back and read this. But there's some Republicans, and look, I don't call John Kennedy a rhino. John Kennedy's conservative. He can have views on January 6th, like I have views on January 6th. What's scaring me with all this is ladies and gentlemen, the government officials openly calling for Tucker to be removed or censored because he ran a story and a narrative that he felt was right. Because look, you can argue. He did expose the left. He exposed the left for who they are. They covered up the footage that went against their narrative and lied about certain things to get Donald Trump out of office. That was the summary of his footage, this footage being released in this investigation. Now you have Chuck Schumer and all these people calling for censorship because they didn't like this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is violating Tucker Carlson's First Amendment right. As a journalist, the First Amendment says we have the freedom of the press. Why did our founding fathers, the people that wrote our sacred document to this country, put the freedom of the press in there? Because they knew that if the press or people that can write something, or like yours truly that comes behind a microphone and say something, we don't have to worry about the government coming through our doors and telling us you went against the narrative of the government and now you're going to jail. Does this ring a bell? Look, state-run media in China, Iran, and all these other countries. The government runs the media. And with that being said, you can't go behind a microphone on a podcast and say your views of the opposite of the government. But ladies and gentlemen, you have Chuck Schumer. You have Chuck Schumer and some on the left and even some on the right that are saying Tucker Carlson should be fired because he put his opinion out there. And ladies and gentlemen, Tucker is getting attacked bad. Even to the point where they're calling him a liar. And so conveniently, now text messages come out where Tucker gave his opinion to, in a private conversation, mind you, to some people about Donald Trump. Now, everybody on the left is using that and saying, well, look, see, Tucker lied about that, so Tucker's lying about January 6th. Tucker didn't lie about January 6th. Tucker showed the videos. Now, it's another narrative where he's coming out, oh, this is all for entertainment purposes and to him to make money. It could be possible. I'm not denying that. But ladies and gentlemen, Tucker Carlson is getting pushed back right now for releasing this footage. I honestly think Tucker is genuine of what he's doing. And it's also, you also got to ask the question, why these text messages came out the day after. All of a sudden, Dominion wants to release Tucker Carlson's text messages. Also an argument of Tucker Carlson with these text messages that came out and reported all by the left-wing media as trying to show Tucker Carlson lying. They show three text messages, but if you look at the full clip, and thanks to a listener, I can't remember who it is, but thanks to a listener for sending this to me through Facebook, where they showed the text messages. Everything else is hidden. So you have no content of why Tucker was saying this. This was between the after the 2020 election and before January 6th. Everybody was upset at Donald Trump some way, shape, or form in the media. So there's no content. That's my argument for that. There was no content of what Tucker Carlson was talking about. You only have 3 text messages. Oh, Tucker Carlson's a liar. But ladies and gentlemen, this is getting me upset right here because people in the government are outright calling for Tucker Carlson to be censored, and they're violating the First Amendment right, in my opinion. Now, you as a listener, and especially if you're on the left, you can probably argue, well, no, they're not making laws to stop Tucker Carlson. No, but they're telling his boss, get rid of Tucker Carlson. He's going against the narrative. He's going against he's making us false. He's making us look bad. He's telling us that we're false because, ladies and gentlemen, look, and this came to a point. I think it was Joe Cunningham, if I'm not mistaken. No. Dan Bongino, correction. Dan Bongino said this. It's funny. They're talking about all these videos. How Tucker Carlson shouldn't have shown it. Tucker Carlson shouldn't have went ahead and ran with it. He shouldn't have gave out his opinion. But they're not denying that this isn't false. Everything Tucker Carlson said, they're not denying it. They're not even hitting that, hey, Tucker Carlson, all they say is lies. But they're not denying the footage. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have that bothers me as an American citizen. That you have government officials going on the Senate floor and telling a person's boss, you need to tell him to stop. You need to tell him to forget about this narrative. You need to see, if you have to pull him off the air, pull him off the air. And I understand the First Amendment says that they should not pass laws to infringe upon the rights of the First Amendment. I understand that. But ladies and gentlemen, they don't have to pass laws. They can go on as Chuck Schumer and many other politicians did, go on a camera and go in front of a camera and say, listen, we think he's wrong and they should pull him off the air. This is what scares me about them making statements like that. If they think about that with the free press, what do they think about me as an American citizen that has the right to have free speech? What do they think about me behind this microphone? I'm a normal American citizen. One day I just said I wanted to make a podcast. Now I'm heard all over the world and all over America. Ladies and gentlemen, this is scary in my opinion because they might not be trying to pass laws. And then again, we don't know. These bills that are 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 pages, we don't know what's all in there. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the American citizen is slowly losing their rights. And we're becoming more of a police state. We're becoming more of a socialistic state. And it's scary. And if we don't stand up, and look, this is why I admire Tucker Carlson in that sense. Tucker Carlson, that second day when he showed that footage, could have said, look, I apologize. I upset the politicians. I upset the establishment. I am sorry. He could have apologized. But no, Tucker is standing firm to his guns. Now, I want to see what Fox News does. Will they go after Tucker Carlson? Which I doubt. Tucker Carlson has a big enough platform that if he leaves Daily Wire, BuzzFeed, The Blaze, somebody's going to pick up Tucker Carlson. Newsmax, they're going to pick him up, and he's going to have a voice. But ladies and gentlemen, this is scary. Tucker, if Tucker, you're listening, please hold fast. And that's what we need to do. That's how we stop this socialistic thinking in America. We stand fast. We don't apologize. And Tucker shouldn't apologize either. With that being said, we'll be back in a few minutes after this break. How you doing, everyone? Isaac here. I'm the Cajun Conservative. And I want to thank Brother Lanny Hayes from Hayes' Dump Truck Service for their generous support of the Cajun Conservative and Brothers Just Searching. Hayes' Dump Truck Service serves the Lafayette and surrounding areas. If you have any job that you need done, like cleanup or hauling material to your job site or your home, we haul limestone, we haul sand, we haul topsoil, any type of material you need. If you're in Lafayette and surrounding areas, please call Brother Lanny Hayes at 337-852-8043. Remember, Hayes' Dump Truck Service, where Jesus is Lord of the company.
Cleansed and made us whole. Not one hoof, not one soul.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the second segment of the Cajun Conservative Show. Please keep Senator Mitch McConnell in your prayers. I disagree with Mitch McConnell on a few things, but when you hear this, you kind of worry about people. Look, like I said, for the past week, I've been called. Now, the latest video on TikTok has reached, last time I looked, 3,500 views. So it's getting out there. I haven't looked at it this morning. The comments are enormous. They're just blowing up. But I have been called everything under the sun. I had to, let me say it like this. I had to delete a comment. Now, I didn't report it to TikTok because I'm not going to do that, but I deleted a comment because it kind of incited violence on the person that wrote it. And I was like, this shouldn't be on my comments, but it shows that if you have a different view than the left, they look at you weird or they wish you harm, and that's not right. That is not right whatsoever. But if a conservative does it, it's all over CNN. But anyway, let's go back to this. As I said, I don't agree a lot with Mitch McConnell. But we need to keep him in our prayers because the Daily Wire reported that, and this was early in the week, Senator Minority Leader Mitch McConnell hospitalized after the incident at dinner. I think he fell and he hit his head. Last time I heard, he was still in the hospital. And I think he had a concussion. So let's keep him in your prayers. Look, I can disagree with somebody. You know, and look, I'm thinking about doing something. I might reach out to a good friend. Well, I say a good friend of mine. We hardly talk. We talk on Facebook. And I'm thinking about seeing if he wants to come on. Now, he's part of the left. And but he always comments on stuff. And look, I call him a friend. You know, I don't talk to him all the time, but I call him a friend. And that's the thing about me. I can disagree with you. Look, I disagree with Dan Bongino. I disagree with Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro. I disagree with some. And look, even on the left, I could be your friend. I can disagree with you. I like reasonable conversations. I don't like where somebody comes up and blows up or says ridiculous things like the person on TikTok did. I don't think that's right. But I can disagree with you. And look, like I said, I disagree with Mitch McConnell, and my heart goes out to him. He's hurting, ladies and gentlemen, and we need to pray for him and pray that he has a swift recovery. So Biden went ahead and released his new tax budget. President Joe Biden proposed a budget Thursday pushing tax hikes on the wealthy and proposed to expand Medicaid while aiming to cut deficit by nearly $3 trillion over the next decade. The president's budget will most likely be dead on arrival in Congress as he proposed to raise taxes run against Republican perspectives to cut the deficit without raising taxes. Biden's budget, however, will serve as a rallying cry against Republicans' proposal as a starting point for congressional discussion on the budget. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few weeks left for to raise the debt ceiling, which the Freedom Caucus, in response to President Biden's proposal, I heard, said their own proposal to Congress, and because the Freedom Caucus has a lot of influence right now because of a slim majority, this is going to be a fight. They're even threatening to not raise the debt ceiling, which I predict they will. They always do, for America to not default on our debts. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this raises up another question too, because Biden is pushing this. Biden, remember, said he wasn't going to raise no taxes on a certain amount of people. I think it's over if they make over $400,000 some dollars. This is what the president don't understand, is that when you raise taxes on the wealthy, they're going to put that on their customers. Because you never notice when you go to like Walmart or you go to a convenience store or you go somewhere and they have taxes on it. That's to pay their taxes. So the middle class is still paying that tax. Oh no, it's going on the wealthy. Well, no, the only way you get it to not be on to stay on the wealthy, if you tell the wealthy, hey, you don't charge your customers taxes. Oh, we can't do that because we won't be able to stay in business. So they always put that on. They put that. So if this budget would pass, that Biden would go ahead and which is not. Congress already said they're not. I don't think they're going to do that. The Republican proposal hasn't come out yet at the time of this video. But ladies and gentlemen, the president don't understand how this works. Does he choose not to understand, or is he willfully not understanding? Well, that's another issue that we could talk about another day. But now Politico, a left-leaning news organization, which I do like reading some political stuff, wrote a piece that said Biden sticks it to the Republicans with his budget proposal. President Biden's third budget and likely campaign blueprint, if and when he announces a re-election run, proposes tax hikes on the wealthiest Americans and corporations, the most funding ever for the military, and $3 trillion in default slashing policies over a decade. The government funding proposal unveiled Thursday by the White House, and which has no chance of passing Congress, makes both a campaign pitch and an opening shot at House Republicans who have demanded significant spending cuts. Democrats have been daring Republicans to put their demands in writing as the GOP seeks financial concessions in returning for helping to lift the debt ceiling later this year. So basically what Biden said according to this article, what Biden said on this budget, hey, y'all want me to cut? Guess what? I'm going to increase. Because we know what the left does. The left thinks we can spend our way out of the problem. And that's not how that's going to work. Ladies and gentlemen, and look, to be honest with you, I would love to get somebody that's financially minded to really explain to me how raising taxes is going to cut the deficit. Think about this, because look, we're going to raise taxes on the wealthy, and that's going to bring down the deficit. How? You're just giving the government more money to spend. And I use the example of always as a credit card. If I had a credit card that had $200 limit and I go max my $200 limit, and the credit card says, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to give you another $200 so you can cover that limit. Well, I got a $400 limit now. That means I can spend more. So I'm going to spend $200 and be $400 in debt. That's how I look at it, and that's simple. That's my simple mind, how I'm thinking. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see, because like I said, the Freedom Caucus did totally opposite, and I think they should do this. Honestly, the Republicans should go to the most extreme to the right. If you're looking at me, I'm pointing to the left, but I'm in studio, I'm pointing to the right. They should go more to the right. They should go to the most extreme, and the left going to the most extreme and come into the middle and make an agreement. That's how government's supposed to work. And I heard it earlier this week, and I can't remember who I heard it from, but it made a good point. The Democrats start way left, and the Republicans start in the middle. So when we get something passed, it's more to the left, and it's stuff for more of the left, and the left hardly moved at all. But what made Ronald Reagan a great president, that's what they used the example, Ronald Reagan would start way at the right. And the Democrats would start way at the left. And when they would come to the middle, everybody would be happy with the outcome it came. So we're going to have to see how this works. But this budget is really it's going to start off a lot of stuff with because you also have the debt ceiling that's happening, which a lot of people ain't talking about right now. We're going to have to deal more with that later on as we go in. New York prosecutor single Trump's likely facing criminal charges. Trump responds in the report. This is from the Daily Wire. So Donald Trump is in a ton of lawsuits. He's in a ton of investigations. The January 6th has pushed for the January 6th committee, not January 6th, but the January 6th committee has pushed for criminal charges against Donald Trump. So you have, especially in Manhattan, the New York. Trump. I'm glad Trump moved out of New York. He's in Florida now. But Manhattan District Attorney Alfred L. Briggs official office has reportedly signaled to President Trump's legal team that he could face criminal charges for his alleged roles in hush money payments to porn star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 election. The New York Times reported that Trump has been offered the chance to testify before the grand jury that has been hearing the evidence in the case. The Manhattan District Attorney threatened to indict President Trump is simply insane. Taunt that President Trump is insane. A spokesperson for Trump said in a statement, "It is an embarrassment to the Democrat prosecutor, and it's an embarrassment to New York City." So, excuse me. I gotta get a taste of coffee. So what they're doing in New York, ladies and gentlemen, they're grasping for straws against Trump. So apparently in 2016, Stormy Daniels said Donald Trump paid her some hush money to be quiet about certain things, and now the Democrat prosecutors are trying to get down. Ladies and gentlemen, all this is surrounded to make Trump look bad. Okay, look, I'm going to say this. I do not want Donald Trump to run for president in 2024. I have made that perfectly clear on this microphone. I am a Ron DeSantis guy. I like Trump. I like Trump's policies. I like it, but I'm more of a Ron DeSantis guy. I'm leaning more towards that way. Now, I've always said this. If it came down to Biden and Trump, I would vote for Trump in a heartbeat. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to go on this microphone and attack Donald Trump unless it's legitimate. And I say attack that, like, I mean, go ahead and talk bad about Donald Trump. Unless it's legitimate. Like a while back, he said something about the Constitution, and I called him out on it. I said, nope, he was wrong. I will do that if it's legitimate, because I'm giving you my opinion of what I think he said. But ladies and gentlemen, these Democrats are doing it totally. They don't want Donald Trump to run. So what they're doing is they're attacking him every way, shape, and form. And this is what it is right here. This right here is this Donald. They're trying to go after Donald Trump, and it's not, you know, a lot of this ain't holding water. So we're gonna have to see how this goes. But they're trying to see the whole concept of is Donald Trump's criminally charged. He can't run for president. And look, I mentioned on the last show, they're scared of Donald Trump, but they're also scared of Ron DeSantis. They're already calling. It don't matter. The Republicans can go ahead and nominate the Pope for president, and they're going to go ahead and call out the Pope. That's just my humble opinion. All right, one more story before I get into. I want to go ahead and talk something. I want to go ahead and give you an opinion about the governor's race that I'm seeing right now in Louisiana. But before that, I got one more story. Mexican president threatened to meddle in U.S. elections with information campaign against Republicans. This is coming from Fox News. Let's go ahead and read a little bit of the article. If it comes up. My internet's taking slow today. Okay. So this was this report came out yesterday. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Arturian, that's a long name, on Thursday threatened to launch an information campaign in the U.S. against Republicans, telling Mexicans and Hispanians not to vote for them unless U.S. lawmakers change their treatment on Mexico. A apparent threat of election interference by the head of state is in response to the U.S. call for action against the cartel smuggling fentanyl across the border. Starting today, we're going to start an information campaign for Mexicans who live and work in the United States and for all Hispanics to inform them of what we are doing in Mexico and how to intervene by the Republicans. In addition to being irresponsible, it is offensive against the people of Mexico, a lack of respect for our independence, our sovereignty, he said. And if they do not change their attitude and think that they are doing to us Mexico, or they are going to use Mexico for their propaganda, electoral and political purposes, we're going to call for them not to vote for that party because it is interventionist, inhumane, hypocritical, and corrupt. That is the president of Mexico. That's his quotes. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't you remember Russian information? Russian disinformation that the Democrats... Let's go back to the 2016 election. Donald Trump won, and this has been disproven, but this was the Democrats and the left's view on the 2016 election, that Donald Trump got in there because Russia interfered and meddled in our elections. You remember that? They condemn Trump. I mean, they condemn Trump. They condemn Russia. They condemn everybody that they Donald Trump Jr., everyone. And the Democrats said this was the worst thing that hurt our democracy. Why? So I haven't seen it yet, but why haven't the Democrats come out and condemn Mexico for trying to interfere with our elections? Maybe it's because it's helping the Democrat Party. Think about it. Okay, look, I've seen that. I wrote that on my notes. It's kind of funny. Meddling in an election is wrong unless it helps out the Democrat Party. Now, Republicans condemn this. Of course they will. But ladies and gentlemen, for a head of state, a president of a country to come out on a microphone and say, you know, I'm going to meddle in the elections because it's going to benefit me and my country. Now, it could be done in secret. I don't doubt that. Probably every country does that. It benefits them. They do it. But for them to come out openly, where is the Democrats condemning the Mexican president? They won't. Because you see, he's telling him to go vote Democrat. Now, this also shows something else, too. Biden is not a president of the world. Biden is not trying to be the president of the United States. He's trying to be the president of the world. You notice when he went to Ukraine and he went to Poland, everybody cheered for him. In Mexico, they praised him. Because, ladies and gentlemen, they like Biden because Biden has the same mindset. They love Biden in other countries. The only country that really don't like him right now is the United States, and they think he's doing a very poorly job at being president. But ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of funny. It's okay for this president in Mexico to threaten to meddle in our election, and no Democrat says anything. But when they were accusing him, it's been proven false. This Russian collusion hoax has been false. That it was wrong for them to do it, but hey, it's all right for him to do it. And that's how I get from this story. And it's horrible. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about one opinion piece. Then we're going to have Mr. Brandon come on and talk to us about his race for Secretary of State. Can't wait to have that. He's going to be on in a few minutes. But I want to talk about the gubernatorial race here in Louisiana. As a lot of you know, and I've explained already, that we are part of a jumbo primary. And this jumbo primary is that in October, we're going to have all the candidates run at one time. And unless a candidate gets 50% plus one, they go into a runoff. This happened in a local election I was part of. I teamed up with one candidate, and we was trying to get him elected, and we were confused because of it. I think the threshold was 50 plus one, or it was 51%. If it wasn't 51, if it was at 51%, well, that means it was a runoff. If not, all kind of confusion at that night. But we found out it took 14 votes for the other candidate to come after 50 plus one. So that candidate won that particular race. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, going into this gubernatorial race, everybody thought that Jeff Landry was running, and we knew that. We knew Jeff Landry was running. We didn't know. We thought maybe John Schroeder was going to run, and that was it, really. We didn't know who the Democrat was run. Now it's I think Sam Wilson has jumped in the race. He's the big fish for the Democrat Party in this race now. Or the big candidate, or whatever any terminology you want to use it. But anyway, but we knew that the Democrats would probably pick only one candidate. That's how John Bel Edwards got in both times. I think John Bel had somewhat of competition in his first election, but the second election, he was the only Democrat running. And we had a lot of candidates show up for that second race against John Bel, but it came down to Eddie Rispone and Ralph Abraham. And we're seeing, look, I hate to say it, I'm starting to see history repeat itself in Louisiana. I have nothing against the candidates that are running. I am in the middle of trying to get one of the gubernatorial elections, one of the people that are running for governor to come on right now. We're in talks with their campaign. When that happens, we're going to announce it and whatever. But ladies and gentlemen, you're starting to see tons and tons of people come up on the Republican side here in Louisiana running for governor. Jeff Landry, by far, is the front runner. But ladies, I think you have like seven. Last time I looked, 6, 7 candidates on the Republican side. Now there is some that they're not going to probably get a lot of votes. They're probably going to get maybe a few hundred at best. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm upset about in Louisiana right now. I think we have way too many candidates running for the Republican side. Don't get me wrong. I like how we have people that are interested in that position. They think they could change the state of Louisiana, and they have good policies. Like I said, I'm in the middle of talking with a gubernatorial candidate right now for him to come on. But ladies and gentlemen, especially if you live in the state of Louisiana, I understand. Look, and there's others. You might live in Texas. You might live somewhere else. And you're like, Isaac, we don't have this problem with Republicans. We have a primary. Bingo. See, with this jumbo primary we have, you have all these people coming in. Then they're attacking. Then we have a runoff election in a month later. There's a lot of people that can't forget what happened. This is what happened with Eddie Rispone and Ralph Abraham. 40,000. The vote count was 40,000 separated from John Bell from winning election. I believe it was 40,000. West Monroe side went blue. Now people say, well, how is that significant? Well, that was Ralph Abraham's district because Eddie Rispone attacked Ralph Abraham. A month later, people did not forget about it and they did not vote for Eddie Rispone. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm upset about this jumbo primary thing, because you have people in the Democrat Party and the left here in Louisiana know how to beat Republicans. But what's sad is Republicans go ahead and beat themselves, because instead of us having a primary system or having, some type of way where we pick our candidate, the Democrats are going to have a shot of winning every time. Now, you might be saying, this might benefits the left, because the left says, wait, hold on. When this passed back in the, I think the 80s, where we had this jumbo primary, they had more Democrats running than Republicans, and it gave a chance for the Republican to win. Yeah, it does give a chance for the Democrat to win. I agree with that. But ladies and gentlemen, we need to find out, especially in Louisiana. Look, we're a Republican House, we're a Republican Senate here in Louisiana. The only thing we don't have is the governor. I think we picked that up this year. But ladies and gentlemen, this is starting to get out of line, in my opinion. There's a lot of people. Look, I'm not against people running. I just wish Louisiana would do something, or the Louisiana Republicans will figure out a way to say, look, this is our candidate. Let's go with this candidate, and let's stop the left. Ladies and gentlemen, here in Louisiana, if you're outside Louisiana, or if you're from Louisiana and you're outside this state and you used to live here, you know what I'm talking about. Florida's growing. Bama's growing. Georgia's growing. Texas is growing. Arkansas, under the new leadership of Sarah Huckabee Sanders, which is she's doing a fantastic job in Arkansas. She's just been in there for like 2 months, 3 months, and she already changed half of the stuff. All the southern states are growing. They got Republican House, Republican Senate, and a Republican governor. We're the only state that is still ranking at the bottom. Mr. Jason was here the other day, and he brought this out, where he said that the people that we are like the fifth state that is losing people. Everything bad, we're nearly there. We're everything good, we at the bottom, and everything bad, we at the top. And I think we need a Republican governor. I'm not putting my faith in a Republican governor, because they could make mistakes. They're humans. As I said in the beginning of the show, I trust Jesus. I don't trust people to get things done. But ladies and gentlemen, and that's the question I'm asking. Do we have too many Republicans running? Look, I can't look. Jeff Landry, Sharon Hewitt, John Schroeder, Richard Nelson, and the other candidates are all there. Look, you have the right to run. I'm not disagreeing with that. And look, we're gonna have, like I said, we're setting up a gubernatorial candidate right now. But Louisiana needs to change. And I just think we have way too many people running for governor in the Republican side. And look, the people that have names, the people that I mentioned, those are the 4 main candidates. So look, hey, we can even focus on that. Look, let's get 4, 3 or 4. Let's we have to have a choice. I do agree with the Jumbo Project with a choice, but that's what primaries are for. And I just think we should go ahead and change something here in Louisiana. And that is my opinion on that. And we're going to see. Look, like I said, I have guests coming up. We're going to go ahead and we might talk about that a little bit. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a few minute break. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
Cheers and good on you, boys and girls. My name is Scott Ford, and I have a show on Rumble. It's the Scott Ford Show, all one word. The Scott Ford Show, all one word, and it's on Rumble. I'd be very happy if you went ahead and subscribed, like Isaac. I'm a true American-loving patriot. Thank you, Isaac. God bless. Enjoy your life.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the third and final segment of this episode of the Cajun Conservative Show. As advertised, I have a guest on this segment. He's running for Secretary of State. He's a former candidate for state rep and business owner, Mr. Brandon Trosclair, correct?
Brandon Trosclair, yes,
Trosclair,
sir.
yes, sir, yes, sir. How you doing, Mr. Brandon? Welcome to the Cajun Conservative Show.
Hey, man, thanks for having me this morning. I'm doing great this morning. Beautiful day in Louisiana.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. And hopefully it gets a little bit better. You know, hey, we had some rain, a little bit of rain yesterday, but we should be fine with for the rest of the weekend. Yeah,
we needed it at my house. It's been dry, and so it was welcome as long as it wasn't too much. So it was perfect.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Brandon, you made a name for yourself for standing up to the Biden administration with the vaccine mandates. You have some opinions on the Dominion voting machines. That's just a couple of things I looked up on your website and stuff of that nature. But let me know. Go ahead and let me know why you're running for Secretary of State and what is your vision in this spot, because you have run for public office before and you are involved in politics. Why get into the Secretary of State race?
Well, again, thanks for having me. But the reason I have ran for office before, and I'm one of those guys that I'm not going to whine and complain about the problems we have and sit on the sidelines. I'm going to get involved and try to offer solutions to fix our problems that every level of government seems to continually give us. They routinely give us problems. And so in particular on the Secretary of State's office, I think that our elections are terrible. I know that our elections are terrible. We're the only state in the country where you can't physically audit our elections. We don't know who's counting our vote. It's a big problem, and our registration process is deplorable. We have over 700,000 ineligible and inactive voters on our voter rolls. Our voter rolls aren't being cleaned up. So between the Dominion voting machines that we know that they can be and have been manipulated in our registration process, it needs fixing, and it needs fixing bad. I tell people all the time our most sacred right as Americans is our right to vote. But if our voting is inaccurate and being manipulated, what difference does it make?
Now, some people might ask you, Mr. Brandon, because Kyle Ardoin is our current Secretary of State, and I figured I've thought he did a very decent job at this, and nothing to say against Kyle, but because by far Louisiana has come a long way since the 80s and the 90s when we was mostly blue, and they had a lot of things going on with our voting system then. So these things that you come up, is this public record? Because like I said, I've never heard of this before until just now.
Yeah, absolutely. So all this public record, and I'm not sure that our elections have made all kind of progress since the 80s. I can argue that point. But look, our state has changed from blue to red, and I think that's a change in the direction of leadership on the national level. But again, our Secretary of State says we have the 6th best elections according to the Heritage Foundation. Which I interned at the Heritage Foundation in Washington, D.C. So I went and looked at that study. Yeah, our overall score is a 75. That doesn't seem like too good to me. Now, that's a typical result that we get from government is a 75. But I know if my kids come home and they got a 75 on their report card, that's unacceptable. And so I started breaking down that survey even more. And if you look at the accuracy of our voter rolls, we get an F. If you look at proof of citizenship right here in Louisiana, we get an F. That's unacceptable to me. So I think this has been going on for a long time. In fact, I know it's been going on for a long time, and I don't see the progress there that we have. The claims about Dominion voting machines being a problem, you can go out there and look at the Fox News versus Dominion lawsuit. You have 6 Dominion employees admitting under oath when they're deposed that their machines are continually hacked all the time, that they got bugs, there's alterations all the time. There's also what you call the cast vote record. We know that elections have been altered in many, many states that uses the same exact machine or other forms of Dominion machines. So there's evidence galore if people just get their head out the sand and start doing some research. There's evidence all over the place. I ask people all the time, who counts our vote? I ask clerk of courts. I ask people all the time, who counts our vote? Nobody can answer that. That alone is reason enough that we need to change our system, because nobody can answer who counts our vote. That's a problem.
Yeah, especially your right to vote is one of the most sacred things that you have as a United States citizen, to come out and to voice your opinion. And we need to make sure that's one of the most secure ways, and make sure that we have the I'm trying to find the right words, that we have the liberty to go vote, but at the same time that we know that who we voted for and the outcomes are secure in every way, shape, and form. And that's one of the jobs of Secretary of State, is to make sure that this process of voting is correct and balanced, and we have the right things that need to be done to make sure we have a accurate outcome of the elections.
There needs to be accountability, and there's no accountability or transparency. And that's one thing that we're going to bring back to the State Department, is accountability and transparency. You'll be able to see all the votes. We'll be able to audit the votes in your own precinct. But ultimately, the people of Louisiana are going to count their votes in Louisiana, and not being outsourced somewhere across the country or across the world in a proprietary little black box that nobody can look into that software. That's currently what's counting your vote.
I hear you. All right. So let's go on to your background as a business owner, as a believer of Christ. You've been a business owner down here in Louisiana for a while. And Mr. Brian, you know as well as I do, because I help run my dad's company. Businesses are suffering here in Louisiana. And
that's correct.
We're struggling with high taxes. We're struggling with high insurance rates. I have people that's running for state rep and senators that come here, and they talk about this, how they want to fix it. As the Secretary of State, what is your role into doing that? Because we need every elected official to go ahead and try to minimize the bleeding that we have here in Louisiana. Unfortunately, we're losing people. Where the community side is just a lot of our young and bright minds are leaving the state. As Secretary of State, what can you do to help us? Because I know that a lot of people look at the Secretary of State as just, he looks over the schools, he goes over the voting, but that's really it. But the Secretary of State has a lot more things that they do. So, in your opinion of the stuff that's happening in Louisiana, how does the Secretary of State affect that in bringing us to the right way?
Yeah, so there's 3 primary functions of the Secretary of State's office, and it's overshadowed, and rightfully so, by our election process. All right, that's 90. I like to describe it. That's 90% of the job right there. The Secretary of State also oversees the operation of 9 museums across the state of Louisiana. You know, the old Governor's Mansion, the Delta Music Museum, things like that. And then they do business commerce. You got the Go app, where you can go and sign up for your LLCs and do your annual filings and stuff like that. I think the biggest thing that the Secretary of State can do is use the platform that is given as a Secretary of State to bring up important issues all around the state. Now, the Secretary of State can't vote for any legislation. They can't introduce legislation on things like that. That's what the state legislature is for. But again, I say all the time that elections have consequences, and manipulated elections have catastrophic consequences. That's how we got critical race theory in our schools. That's how we got boys swimming and competing against girls, and a host of problems. So fixing our elections will fix a lot of things in our state. but also use that platform to talk about other issues that aren't necessarily anything that the Secretary of State can do other than use that platform to raise awareness.
So you be a voice out there saying, look, this I think, I don't have the process. Well, I don't have the authority to go ahead and vote or introduce stuff, but I can give you my opinion, and you probably get people to listen to you on that front.
That's correct.
So now we got another question to ask you, Brian, is your faith. I met you a couple of weeks ago. We were
Yes, sir.
We were at the Mike Lindell event at Family Worship Center, and
Yes, sir.
our good friend Josh Rosenstern went ahead and introduced us. He told me about you before that. And so you're a person of faith. You're a Christian, and you're running for
Correct.
public office. And look, I've had a lot of Christians come through here that are politicians. Jason Dozero, David Eden, I believe it's Jamie Pope. We have a lot of Christians that are running for these seats in Louisiana. But the number one question, especially on my front, on my platform, when I'm talking about politics, I have people tell me, Isaac, you shouldn't be talking about politics. You should be just focusing on the gospel. You should use your platform from other things. But politics, you should stay out of politics. But as a Christian, I learned, hey, look, we need to be in this. So, David, how does your faith shape your campaign? How does you being a Christian help this? And do you get those questions? Hey, you're Christians, you shouldn't be running for a statewide office.
Yeah, so first and foremost, my faith in Jesus Christ and what he did at the cross shapes everything that I do in every facet of my life. That's first and foremost. The second thing is to say that Christians shouldn't be involved in politics. That's how we got in this mess in the first place. You had 80 million evangelicals didn't go vote in the last election, and look what we got. So that is ridiculous. In my Bible, it says nowhere where Christians shouldn't be involved in the process. It says the exact opposite, that we should be involved in the process. How can we, if Christians aren't involved, we're supposed to leave it up to non-believers and quote unquote bad people to run everything and make all the decisions? Those decisions affect our lives. I am not a guy that's going to sit on the sidelines and watch my parish, my state, or my country get drained and go down the drain and get ruined. I'm not going to do it. So I am going to stand up for what I believe, and I stand firm on my Christian values.
And look, we, like you said, I like how you said that we should stand up. Like I didn't realize there was that many evangelicals that did not go vote. 80 million evangelicals that did not go vote. And look, I can understand the last election. You had Biden on one hand, you had Trump on the other, and you have strong views on each one of them. But sometimes you got to swallow the bullet and say, listen, I'm just going to, I'm going to go vote with my conscience, or 9 out of 10, I'm just going to vote for the lesser of two evils. Because like you said, look what we got here today. Trump would have been a way better, more president and helped the evangelical community than Biden ever will be.
Yeah, I'm a agree with you on your second point. I'm gonna disagree with you on your first point. I can't understand why anybody would ever sit out on voting. I can't understand. I can't fathom that at all. And you look, you had two polarizing figures. I get that Trump's polarizing, but you look at it, one platform or one party stands up for Christian values, and the other one has thrown God and Christ out of their party platform, and therefore abortion and everything, all kind of other things that are against our biblical views. So I don't agree with anybody sitting on any because a no vote is a vote for the bad guy.
Yeah, and I agree. And I use the figures as for, say, Trump and Biden, but that you can say the left and the right, Republican, Democrat, in that sense. And look, don't get me wrong. I disagree with a lot of things that Trump does, but I've said it it was the second segment of this episode where I went ahead and said, look, if it came down to Biden and Trump, well, I'm going to vote for Trump. You get what I'm saying? And because could you have a presidential election that's coming up? You have a lot of people that's about to run. Ron DeSantis, 9 out of 10 is probably going to run for president. You have Nikki Haley, and you have other candidates that are coming up. And that's what the primary system's there for, to look at that for Trump Trump and what are those candidates. But when it comes down to the general election, those two candidates, which one is, like you said, which one is the lesser of two evils? Or I said one lesser of two evil, or what does their party stand for? 'Cause I agree with you. The left I've said it multiple times. The left does not care about Christianity. They don't love the Bible. They don't like God. They don't like freedom of speech. But you have the right that goes ahead and stands up for that. And as a Christian, we should stand for the party that represents our values the most, and the Democrat Party don't do that at all.
That's correct. That is correct. Look, I know people say Trump talks too much and tweets too much and all that stuff, and I get that. But look at his policies. Look at the policies that he put into place. And it was America first, and it was Christianity, Christian values, and look at the policies.
Yeah, and that's as they say, doctrines matters. That's how policy matters when you're making those decisions, and that's what we as Christians need to focus on. Because look, I had people already come up to me and say that as well. Why is it? What if both of them are bad? Well, you got to pray about it and say, Lord, do the one that's gonna vote for the one that's gonna do less to influence what we're doing. You get what I'm saying? It's not. And that's what. Yeah,
my pastor says it all the time. We're electing a president of the United States. We're not electing our pastor. So at the end of the day, you take the policies and the beliefs of the two, and you put them up and align them up against our biblical values, and see which ones align most. Yeah, and that's pretty easy decision. That's pretty easy decision the way I see it.
Yeah, I agree with you. So let's go ahead and cover one more topic. And I talked about this in the second segment, and I'm seeing this right now because we're in the state of Louisiana. We're having a gubernatorial election right now, and I'm seeing Brian, a lot of back and forth right now. When we first got into this season of the gubernatorial election, it was Jeff Landry. Jeff Landry was the ticket. Jeff Landry was this. Jeff Landry, but then you start seeing other candidates come into play. And look, I'm not against people deciding to run. We're working on getting one of the candidates to come on here right now. It's you're starting to see a lot of these people come. And you're already starting to see the advocate. You're starting to see media outlets attacking the candidates. You have, I don't know if you have candidates attacking each other. Yes, which I can't stand. I don't like when other Republicans attack other Republicans on certain things. But we're going into this season of elections with the gubernatorial elections. Do you feel that the process to get nominees into that position with the jumbo primary good for Louisiana or bad for Louisiana? And do you think we have too many Republicans joining into this gubernatorial race, and we should just focus on one and take out the Democrat leadership of this state?
Well, to say that we have too many candidates, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Everybody has their right as a citizen, and they think they can do the best job for Louisiana. They have that right to go and throw their hat in there to run. And I applaud anybody, Republican or Democrat. Running for office is not an easy task. There's people hitting you from all kind of different angles for all kind of different things. And so there's a lot of pressure. So I applaud anybody that's going to run for public office. So as far as the primary, the LA GOP already came out and endorsed Jeff Landry. And they said that was a way to have somewhat of a closed primary. And as far as winning elections, I get that. I understand that. I'm kind of on the fence about open and closed primaries. As a private citizen, I want to be able to vote for whoever I want to vote for. But on the closed primaries, it would make it easier for a Republican to win. And thankfully, it looks like we have several good candidates for governor coming up this year. So it'll be interesting and it'll be exciting for sure.
Well, and look, I agree with you. It is already exciting. I love following the politics of that. What I'm saying is, and this is my personal view on that. Look, Sherrod Hewitt, Richard Nelson, Jeff Landry, John Schroeder, the top four. There's some good candidates. The problem with I see with this old jumbo primary and this way that we do elections here in Louisiana is that you have let's use the top four. If one of them will start attacking each other or they all start attacking each other, by the time the run-up comes, you're going to have people that are butthurt like they did with Eddie Rispone, and the Democrat's going to walk right in, and we're going to have Wilson go in there because he's the only Democrat candidate with name recognition that will walk in there. And that's what I think. I think us as Republicans, we need to pick our candidate, do it in a orderly fashion, and try to make sure that, hey, look, we can go ahead and change our state. Because, Brandon, we mentioned it earlier. We're at the top of everything bad, and we're at the last of everything good. And that's because of our leadership in this state.
Yep, I agree with you. And, I'll make an argument that the most important election we have coming up is the Secretary of State's office. Because if we're not counting our own votes and our election process is not transparent and accountable, you don't know what you're getting. We're an extremely red state, but we ended up with a Democrat that makes me raise questions. So I'm gonna make an argument that's the most important thing that we got going on is the Secretary of State's office, the Secretary of State's race that we have coming up.
I hear you. And look, this election is important. This election just not important just for Louisiana. It's also we got other issues rising up in the country. So we got a lot going on this year, my brother. Absolutely, we do. Brandon, before we sign off, I would like to go ahead and give you the opportunity to tell people who you are, where they can find your website, where they can reach out to you if they have any questions or concerns. Go ahead and give a shout out to your campaign.
Yeah, so again, this is Brandon Trosclair, born and raised right here in Gonzales, Louisiana. I'm a business guy. I'm in the grocery business. I currently have 13 grocery stores across South Louisiana and into Mississippi. I successfully sued Joe Biden against the vaccine mandate, went to the Supreme Court and won, saving anywhere from 80 to 100 million jobs. And I'm fed up with the system, and I have solutions to our election process. You can go and see all that and read all of my policy on letsgobrandon.net. Of course, that's GEAUX, but letsgobrandon.net. And this is Brandon Trosclair running for Secretary of State.
Brandon, thank you, my brother, for coming on. We enjoyed having you, and hope this isn't the only time you come on, man. You got to come on another time.
Hey, I'm welcome. Well, I'll be glad to come back anytime, man. I appreciate it.
No problem, my brother. Thank you for coming on. That was Brian Trosclair. He is running for Secretary of State here in the great state of Louisiana. Go ahead and check out his website, letsgobrandon.net. And give him a consider for Secretary of State. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and sign off for this episode. Thank you for listening to the Cajun Conservative Show. It's an honor and a blessing, as always, to spend time with you. Please remember to hit the subscribe and follow button on the chosen platform that you are on. And just remember that Jesus Christ is King, and he's coming back, and he's coming back soon. So don't be faint of heart, because Jesus has overcome the world. If you want to know Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior, reach out to me. I'll tell you how to make Jesus your Savior and heaven your home. So until next time, be blessed, be encouraged. You have a good one.
And he is the open